I don't hear anything. It's real anyway. Okay, so three, two, welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Greg Hectus.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome, Brad Red.
Hey, I hate the Roval.
On today's show, we will discuss the possible end of motorsports games, see what SimiCube has been working on, get news about a potential U.S. Sim Expo, review who is in the eNASCAR Contender Series, preview the upcoming special events, get some listener feedback on hardware, and is there really a silent shifter?
And that's right. Remember that you can follow along with us on your PC or your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com. Select the show notes. We hope to see you there.
Well, first topic of the day is this finally the end for motorsports games, Brad?
Yes, we got an article from Traxon GG. So apparently, it's being reported that uh, motorsports games, that's R Factor 2, and recently Le Mans Ultimate is uncertain. As a parent company, Motorsports Game confirms job losses, has announced it's open to a potential new owner or a merger. So apparently Studio 397 is laying off a substantial amount of people. They did release the Le Mans Ultimate earlier in the year as a, I guess, I don't want to say a beta, but I'm trying to think the word they actually used. It's not a complete game. I mean, there's
It's an
DLCs
alpha,
coming.
isn't it?
Sort of. Early access. That's what it was. Early access. So, but the workforce reduction is expected to impact approximately 39% of the company. Let's see. As of March of this year, it reported that it had 65 people made up of only 46 full-time employees. So, I would. I mean, look, we've been talking about this for gosh, almost a year. I mean, really, all year we've been talking about all of the issues, losing licenses and iRacing getting IndyCar back, getting the NASCAR license and all this stuff. So I would like to say I'm surprised, but I'm not.
So I think there's a couple questions. One question is somebody going to buy what remains of that company and pick up the pieces or whatever, or is it going to go south until it goes south? And does iRacing swoop in and save the day? No, I hope not. Let them go, and then we can pick up these licenses on pennies on the dollar. I would think.
The Unfortunately, obviously, it's a thing that's going around the problems in lots of the world right now is job loss. Everybody's downsizing or whatever. But I'm a huge gamer podcast listener, so I listen to a lot of these game developer podcasts, and these companies. What's happening, and it's becoming a big problem, is they get the game released, or they get to where a point where they can get it out and get some sales, and then they don't do anything beyond that. They end up laying people off when the game's either complete or it's in this early access thing, because they're trying to find a finish line and get something out of it, and it's starting to become a problem. The studios are getting like 1 or 2 games out and then they fold. So I'm wondering, this is obviously going to be going the same way, probably, it folding. I don't see the problem with motorsports is it's not like it's a niche thing. It's not something that's um, it's not a big selling title that sells multi-billion or millions of titles. It's I don't know. It's probably in a million maybe right now as sales, but I guess Gran Turismo and things like that, Forza sell in the sim world in the millions. But I just don't see this ever being picked up because it's low hanging fruit.
So yeah, that makes me think of, we for years everybody complains about how iRacing, the pricing model and all that, but as a subscription based game, there's a steady flow of income. Um, and I think we understand that. Is iRacing ever complete? I don't think so. It's continually being improved. It's being changed. Updates. We get stuff every quarter. Um, are we seeing the end of perhaps just the let's release a title, at least on the PC side? I can understand on the console side, but are we to the point where a PC racing game, is it just not financially, good to just do a one-time release?
So on our Discord, well, one of the listeners chimed in on this and had stated he thinks that this will drive people into iRacing that are not there now. The people that are on R Factor 2, the people on Le Mans Ultimate, um, with nothing, new coming that way. He thinks this will drive even more people to iRacing.
So if it does fold completely and the Maw goes away and they can get, possibly that license, because the WEC license becomes available again, because they had a 10-year deal or whatever, and I don't know what year that was signed in, but um, R Factor is one thing, but I know how important our sports cars and the IMSA and WEC series are to iRacing because of the numbers. Mike, with you saying them all coming over, hopefully that kind of helps manufacturers bring things over too, right? Where you can get, we're already filling out the series as it is, and I know we have more topics about cars being added to the series, but I think that's nothing but great things for iRacing, because, I think after COVID, are we kind of in a, not a lull, but it's just a it's not the steep gradual incline of members. It's a small amount of members at a time that it's going up, if it is going up.
Let's keep rolling here. We got a 2024 eNASCAR Contender Series roster put together by Blake McCandless, who is part of that roster. But he says here, Road to Pro additions from outside of top 20 in points include Dalton England, Cade McClinney, JT Wenzel. The 3 drivers from the Coke Series relegation electing not to return are Keegan Leahy. That's a surprise. Derek Bardot and Jonathan Delaney. And so, yeah, thoughts on Keegan Leahy deciding to hang it up?
Got to do all that sim work for the legal department for 2311.
So go ahead.
You're simulating the courtroom experience.
So they had their first race Tuesday night at Vegas, and I watched, I guess, about 3/4 of the race. It was pretty good, but I tried to find some sort of article or anything to add to the script for tonight, and I couldn't find anything. But it was actually it was a pretty decent race.
Are they running the Xfinity car?
Yeah, it was Taylor Hurst won on tire strategy. So nobody pitted and got tires with about 30 to go. He got tires and just drove right up through the field and drove away. So as usual, just like a Coke Series race, the last 12 laps turned into a crap show, yellow after yellow.
Okay, next up, Greg. How did the Pro Invitational begin?
So Steve Myers posted on Twitter X. I guess it's a screenshot of the text between him and Eric Shanks about how they how he got put on to iRacing. So I'll just read the text. It'll make more sense if I'm reading this. So it says, "Hi Steve, this is Eric Shanks. I run Fox Sports and got your number from Jeff Gordon and Dale Jr. Hope you're doing well with everything going on. Obviously, unprecedented times for us. I was wondering if you would be able or be up for a phone call or to see if iRacing, I like how they spelled iRacing there, um, might be a potential option for us to air since there isn't any real life racing going on right for a while. I'm on a plane for the moment. Let me know if you'd be up for a phone call in the evening tomorrow. All the best, Eric." So obviously this is kind of cool insight that Jeff and Dale gave Steve's number to this Eric guy from Fox so that they could get this series going. And it obviously Steve responds to it. He goes, "I've been waiting for your message. Yes, I'm actively working on something already for you. Happy to talk tonight or tomorrow."
So apparently, I guess NASCAR Hall of Fame had put together a display after the pandemic, and this, I guess this text was part of it. Um, but it's pretty neat the way that all this came about. I wasn't on the service. I can remember watching some of it on on YouTube or something. But you guys were in the middle of it then.
I remember when Denny's daughter turned his monitors off.
What week that was, the week we learned about COVID. I think it came across the media and stuff on a Monday, or I was working at a call center Tuesday and Wednesday. We're kind of looking at each other like should we be breathing on each other? And then they sent us home by Friday to work from home, and I've been working at home ever since. And then that weekend, the NASCAR stars raced on iRacing, and this was the how it got started or how it got arranged.
Well, it's also
But pretty cool.
the beginning of the in or the how the numbers started skyrocketing too of subscriptions and people flocking to iRacing, right?
That's true.
The remember we had that conversation, I don't know, it was a couple weeks ago or whatever, if something would ever end up in the Hall of Fame about iRacing, and I guess we were more talking about a driver or something ended up in the Hall of Fame for it, but this is kind of cool to have this as this is how it started with a text.
Right, Brad, is at Caldwell Park a good idea?
Yeah, so we had a post on X from Tom Aaron of basically a WEC field or IMSA, either way, very similar cars, but about a minute 17 of them turning laps at Caldwell Park, and it went about as well as you'd expect. It's a very tight course. Yeah, I'd pass. This would be pretty bad, in my opinion.
Huh?
I can't get over. It looks like an entry to pit road. It's so narrow.
Yeah, I mean it's with a GTP. It's hardly even. I mean, it's two cars have a hard time side by side.
Still haven't found a reason to buy it yet, but we'll see what the future holds.
Was that that's not that's the GT3 car, or not the GT3, the LMP3 car, isn't it? Or whatever that thing is called that they're using there. That's not one of the higher horsepower ones.
Maybe an LMP2. I don't know.
It's not the LMP2. I think it's that. Was it Ligar?
The Ligier.
Ligier.
Yeah, but still not the same footprint.
For me,
it's a typical prototype, and there's just not a whole lot of room.
That's barely wide enough to run go-karts, let alone those big wide bodies.
Next up, we have frustration is just a part of it. This is a short video from Jamie Marshall, and she speaks for all of us here when she says frustration is just a part of sim racing. And she goes, quote, "We don't get angry and we don't get passionate about things that we don't care about," is what we are going to say to ourselves the next time we're in P1 and get a slowdown. Um, she's just passionate, and sim racing is fun, but when you get dumped, you're angry and you're upset and you stomp away and you rage quit. And there's a reason for that because we care about what we're doing.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I can relate to everything she said. I mean, it's just, my wife gets frustrated with me sometimes because I go upstairs and she'll ask, "How did it go?" And she immediately knows what happens. And she's like, "I hate seeing you frustrated about this stuff." And I'm like, "Well, it's okay. But I guess she has a hard time understanding she's not as super competitive as I am, and we do take it serious. And I think there's people that get on the service and it's fun and whatnot. I mean, yes, I enjoy what I do, but I go into every race with the expectation of doing well and performing my best. And when that doesn't happen, I'm frustrated. You know,
I think the thing is that, you know, you have a passion for any hobby. You know, if you're a hunter or a fisher or something, if you don't get a catch for that day or a buck or whatever, you're frustrated too. It's no different in any other hobby. There's always going to be something that is going to frustrate you or not go right. But like she's saying here is
Understanding that
frustration.
frustration is part of it.
Frustration
I'm going
is
to get frustrated. That's
makes
okay.
makes
But that
us
doesn't
care
mean that I
about it.
don't absolutely
Mike,
love
turn
it.
the
Like
volume
I
off.
100% do, and I think some.
Anyways, yeah. So if you're not caring about it, then you're not gonna get frustrated because it's not. But I go upstairs elated that when you win and stuff. But if you have a bad night, like last night, I had something happen in this. Actually, the last two races I've done, I've had something happen in sim that's out of my control, possibly a glitch. It's frustrating, but we move on.
yeah, just doesn't mean we're not frustrated and we get aggravated by it. But yes, there's always another race. I mean, it's not. That's the beauty of sim racing. I didn't just destroy $100,000 car. I can hit the reset button. I can jump in the next split and get another race in.
Hey, real life news next. Brad, IndyCar confirms a new street course for 2026.
Yeah, we had a post on X from Jennifer Iyer. So apparently, 2026, we're going to have the Arlington Grand Prix, which is going to be in conjunction with the Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers. So we're going to have a street circuit that's going to be in Arlington, kind of going by the Cowboy Stadium and the Rangers Stadium. So we got a video also from IndyCar um, showing the layout. Looks pretty interesting. It kind of looks like I would almost say a typical F1 street course, but
It reminds me of
it,
Miami.
yeah. So, but no, I mean, I think this is cool. We've seen this pop up in different places, like you said, Miami, Las Vegas. Good for IndyCar. I think it's a good sign that if you've got cities that are willing to invest in IndyCar, I think that's good for motorsports in general.
My question is this going to end up being like Nashville, where they do it for one or 2 years and then all of a sudden don't do it again?
Usually 3-year deals. Um, it reminds me of Abu Dhabi for some reason.
It's because it's going underneath things and by all the buildings and stuff.
Right, right. Like there's a part of the track where it goes underneath an area where you can sit and party, and yeah, it's got a pretty neat paddock looking area, whatnot. Uh, it's fascinating this video they put together. It's not iRacing, but it's animation of some kind. I'm curious, what how they built that.
It's just a quick 3D render. Um, the other thing that I was wondering is it says it's March 2026. So does that mean it's like first or second race of the year then probably for them because they start their
Right after
season.
St. Petersburg.
Okay, so it's the second race. So that's real early to have two street circuits in a row.
Well, remember they have a huge gap in the schedule, don't they? After St. Petersburg, yeah. So anyway, so what's the iRacing tie-in, guys? I mean, we know if it's a NASCAR track, we're definitely getting it in iRacing because of the console game. But this is IndyCar. Is this something that iRacing is keen to get scanned when it happens? Or
I wonder how hard it is going to be to scan it because NASCAR created the Chicago one, or sorry, iRacing created the Chicago street course themselves. Long Beach street course took forever to even get rendered in general. It was always a test one. Something like this, with the amount of things that are visually in there, it would take a long time, I bet you, and a lot of. Is there a return on investment if you did this? With the time that you'd invest into doing this street course and putting all your good people onto it.
Well, I mean, look, iRacing has IndyCar back. They've got the license back, so to me, I think it would benefit iRacing to go ahead and do it. They were at Detroit this past year. We don't have Detroit.
They don't have St.
You know,
Pete's.
I mean, we ran Belle Isle instead of it. So, I mean, I hope that Detroit goes away. Perhaps I haven't looked at the schedule for next year, but the Detroit course was horrible. So I would hope that iRacing would be involved in this at some point, just to be able to continue to grow the IndyCar side of the service.
IndyCar and their console game went kaput with Motorsports Games, obviously. They still are keen on getting a console game out, and I'm sure iRacing is going to be the first pick for that. But I don't think iRacing wants to take that on until they get that NASCAR game done. So maybe this is some more long term that when iRacing and NASCAR, I mean, excuse me, iRacing and IndyCar get together to do an actual console game, that would force them to, hey, we need to get all these tracks scanned.
Well, this is like what you're saying there, Mike. Like the NASCAR game has a potential to, if it's being a console and PC version, that's where we're going to see sales in the millions of possibly of the game. So that's where that revenue can help iRacing. It can help potential IndyCar down the road. To see for the potential of the IndyCar game to come down the road, because it might show the need for it. But I think I just don't know if they're going to spend that kind of time on, because the resources to go into building that looks like it's going to be crazy to try and to come up with.
All right, I'll take the next one. Is this bullied or at fault? We have a post on X from Leah Nuttall, and she said, I had the biggest crash I think I've ever had in iRacing. I probably should have lifted, but I didn't want to get bullied. I felt bad for the guy I hit, though. Now, for the audio listeners, she's at Spa, coming around on the what I call the backstretch, or
Blanchimont.
start finish.
It's one of the fastest corners.
You're coming out of Blanchimont.
And so she gets pushed to the grass at the fastest little kink there, and is full speed going into that last set of the corners. And some poor slob is just trying to get through the corner and gets T-boned really, really hard.
I don't. The inside car has the right of way in that corner, even though she should have backed out of that one. I'm not faulting her. I don't see it as being bullied. It's more of maybe live to fight another corner.
Absolutely. That's I mean, reading through some of the replies, we don't know where this was as far as in the race. But if it's early on, I mean, just crack the throttle and back out. Again, live to fight another day.
If it was the last lap, no, I don't blame her at all. But yeah, you're right, Brad. It lap dependent and all that. But that guy she killed, that's that is. Let's hope he wasn't in VR, because that would have been one hell of a surprise when you're just minding your own business.
All right, so you got to scroll up. My wife can't see the video; she's watching the stream.
Is she gonna be judged the judge here? Oh my god!
It's a nasty hit.
Also remind you about how you hold your steering wheel. Don't forget, you could get blindsided by somebody like this at any moment, at any point on a track, and that wheel is going to jump out of your hand. And so
The direct
yeah,
drive
be
wheels.
aware.
Anyone with the direct drive?
Moving on, Brad, could the WEC IMSA prototype class see more new manufacturers?
Yeah, so we got a couple posts here from X. First one was from Mercedes AMG. Says that Mercedes AMG is eyeing the top class prototype entry with an LMDH. So as we know, an LMDH can run depending on what the homologation is. WEC, World Endurance Championship, or IMSA, and then also followed by Aston is actually confirmed that they will be in the GTP class with the Valkyrie for the 2025 season. So super exciting times for IMSA. IMSA and sports cars in general is just blowing up. I mean, the entire series is thriving. WEC, IMSA, both of them. I mean, unprecedented grids, super fantastic to see. So, and I had messaged the team chat. You know, this brings another issue up for iRacing. So as more manufacturers continue to come into the series, you know, we keep seeing them having to optimize and add more cars. But I mean, here you go. You got right now we know two already for next year. You got Lamborghini, I believe, is going to run IMSA full season, and you've also got the Aston as well. So good times.
I was just gonna say, like, it's starting to look like an F1 grid when you see the certain manufacturers there, but obviously, all these manufacturers and the technology that they come up with to race these series is crazy. Like, having uh, Mercedes jump in there, they've done really well in the E series as well as obviously F1. So I want to know what their technology is going to be like when they're trying to create something for this the WEC series or IMSA or things like that. Like for this LMDH, I would not want to be going up against Mercedes. I put them in the class of what Audi did years ago.
Yeah, it's almost unlimited resources.
Aston Martin is a beauty. I love that paint scheme.
Oh, and the thing sounds fantastic. There's a video of them testing it. Just absolutely sounds fantastic.
You wonder if that opens up. Well, obviously, more of these cars. There's going to be more of these races, so more drivers in the world are going to get a chance to drive these types of cars too, right?
Well, I mean, IMSA is already, you know, we talked to, I guess, a while back, or I don't know if we talked on the podcast or not, but with um, the current Continental or is it the VP racing, you know, where it was just the GT4s and the LMP3s. Well, GT3s are going to be in that next year because there's so much interest in the GT3 class that there's, you know, they want to give people other opportunities to drive these cars outside of just the traditional WeatherTech sports car series. So again, I listened to quite a few sports car series podcasts and stuff, and just the sport itself is in a very good spot right now.
Yeah. Biggest story of the week, Greg, is our mail bag. We got mail.
Is this the Sim Expo?
That's right.
Okay, so I just want to make sure you had the right. I had the right thing here. So it says, "Good afternoon from the UK, gents. Saw this and thought of you guys. Our European correspondent, Steve Hobbs. Sim Expo 25, September 5th to 7th, Chicago 2025. That's awesome. Mike, we've been saying it for
Sim
how many years,
Gaming
right?
Expo.
How many of us are going to meet there?
Look, if it's real and there's going to be real sim hardware manufacturers there, I'm definitely going.
We're all
I'll
gonna.
make it
We're
work.
definitely all gonna go in our iRacers Lounge stuff.
Maybe we need to do a remote podcast.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Look, we've said we've been
Laptop.
we've been asking for this. You know, how many times we said something needs to happen in North America? Well, here's the opportunity. Um, Peeps, we got to support this. If they're going to put this on, the community has to support it.
And it's affordable. 3-day pass, I think it was $85.
Where in Chicago is it being held at? Does it say?
I don't think it did. Oh, here it is. The Sim Gaming Expo will be held at the Schaumburg Renaissance Convention Center.
Well, I can definitely drive down from Canada to there. That's only like 4-hour trip, 5-hour trip. No, maybe more than that. Sorry, maybe more than that.
Schaumburg is 13 miles from Chicago O'Hare Airport.
So looking at the website, you know, it's not just going to be sim racing. So it looks like we're going to have quite a bit of other, you know, crossover stuff, whether it's flight sims. Really, it's going to be the sim community altogether. So not necessarily racing. So
farming sim, yeah, it's truck sim.
Truck sim, there you go. You can pick up your stuff.
Yeah, so there's an exhibitor list page. It's still blank. There's a special guest page, still blank. Talks about the hotel and what's to do in the area. Now, I used to fly to Chicago and work in the same area, and they have the Woodfield Mall there, and there's a lot of stuff to do. There's medieval times, it says, for dinner. Anyway, yeah, this is awesome. We need to keep this on our radar, uh, see how it grows. Um, and man, I'm excited for it. I mean, I hope it's as big as like the expo that's about to happen in Germany.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for us as a team to try to see if we can't get some guys together and meet. I think that would be absolutely fantastic.
A couple hours. It's a 7-hour, almost an 8-hour drive for me.
That's not bad, really. I mean, for me, it'd be a flight. Mike would be a flight for you.
Like flight and rent a car, maybe, not even rent a car, Uber, maybe.
Drive down, stay for the couple days, and then drive back.
All right, put it on the calendar. I tell you, we got to do a podcast from there, live podcast.
I'm done. I'm down.
All right, next up, I'll take is iRacing partners with Sim for STEM. So this is interesting. So the Girl Scouts of Central Indiana are working on this Sim for STEM, a renowned program that integrates STEM activities from sim racing, is set to launch a partnership with that Girl Scouts of Central Indiana on October 8th through 11th. Recognized as the home of the greatest spectacle in iRacing, Indianapolis is the perfect location for this exciting new experience that inspires young women to explore careers in motorsport.
I think it's great. I mean, again, anytime to be able to show off what sim racing is, and again, for motorsports side, I mean, how many times we talked? You know, the simulation side for all genres of motorsports just continues to grow, and it's getting even more and more important. You know, I was listening to some podcasts today, just from the NASCAR side of, you know, everybody's been in the sim this week because of the change at the Roval. So you know, cars are set up. That's how I mean, look, there's no more practice sessions and stuff like that. So cars are set up on the sim to go to the track, and the hope is that you get it right.
Yeah, now STEM is a science, technology, education, math. You know, that's what it stands for. And what a neat opportunity for these young ladies to learn about sim racing and kind of incorporate that scientific procedure, you know, against it. Like, you know, hey, let's change the spring in the right front and see what happens. You know, those kind of things.
But that's the engineering side. I mean, that's what engineers do now. It's all about simulation.
Hey,
All right.
Brad,
Yep.
We have a great question here. Will iRacing be available in other languages?
Yeah, so we had a forum post from Alejandro Del Valle. Says, I'd like to know if this could happen someday. I'd like it to be in my language, which is Spanish, so I can make the settings correctly and know what each thing is for without having to translate all the time. Is this possible, or should we always watch iRacing in English? Um, so there's a few replies here on the forum post, mentioning that there's a current, they're planning to do the rework of the UI. So look, why not? I mean, if I can click on a button in X, or Instagram or anything and translate something that's written in Spanish to English, why can't iRacing incorporate this into the UI? I think it would be a good thing to do. I mean, I know that predominantly English is the language that's used. Really, look, any form of motorsports you watch, almost everything you see is going to be in English. So I understand that, but I think definitely ought to be an option. It can't be that hard. I mean, I know, like for us, our time clocks at work, depending. I mean, there's multiple languages that are available, and that can be set to where the person logs in, and whether they're French Creole, it shows them in French Creole, Spanish, Haitian, or whatever it is. So I don't see why iRacing can't do this.
I guess I would ask, is there other titles or games or sims that do this? I can't think of one.
Well, you don't get language options in. Well, I guess maybe in console games when you buy them from a different country. I don't know. Like, I'm more used to obviously buying English versions of games, but if you're in another country and you buy a Call of Duty game for the console, I'm guessing it still says Call of Duty
Still
on
in
it.
English.
Yeah.
I, right. So I don't know if this is a thing for the gaming industry. But like you said, Brad, we see this in everyday life on our phones and different applications. It should be easy, you would think. But hopefully iRacing sees this post and at least puts it on their radar as a great idea. Because look, we want to be an international platform. We
We
have a lot
are
of
we are an international. I mean, how many? I mean, look at the makeup. The European and the Asian is much larger than the North American.
exactly, and so I think we lose sight of that sometimes because the development of the product is American based, it's English based, it's US based, uh, whatnot. But like you said, we're a very international product, and most of our people probably don't speak English, you know, based on what you just said, right? Right. I got this one. What car should be run this winter? We have Julian Valadez posted in the forums. Um, hey, any chance of changing the winter series to the Gen 4 Cup car? I think it would provide a different experience and maybe up the car count and the SOF for this series. Really fun car to drive with a lot of horsepower. I just think some guys don't enjoy the 87s, so maybe try it for a season and look at the stats. Just expressing interest.
The sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Sorry. This car too. Is this the car that has the best speedway sound too? Like when it was at like Talladega and Daytona, the engines had like the best sound.
I
I can't
think
remember if it's the
Gen
years.
5 is the one you're thinking of.
Okay. Anyways, I'm
But
looking forward to these cars.
Yeah, I still really thought we would have gotten them in the last build. Everything that we had seen, it seemed like it was pretty close. So I guess I would almost say, I guess, expect it in the next build.
But is the winter series will be started before the next build?
right, that's the thing
Oh,
about that. And the other part of it is, I don't know, the winter series has been going what, 2 or 3 years now? Um, it's been built around that 87 car, and there's a good following there. There really is. And so a lot of the respondents in this forum post are like, "No, leave it as it is." And I'm kind of on the fence here. Um, I intend to run this series with Justin. If you recall, Justin ended up being champion in his division, but I intend to run it, and I was expecting it to be the 87. So if they switch it to the 4, I'm not going to cry over that, but I'll still run it.
What if they create a series called the Generation Series?
All right, moving on. Brad, let's talk the eNASCAR and iRacing Spotlight.
Yeah, so we had an article that was put up on NASCAR.com highlighting Parker White's winning of the eNASCAR title, and got a few quotes here. Was pretty good. So from Parker to do it here, the Coke Series Hall of Fame in front of a live audience, absolutely nothing even comes close to this. White said, "I couldn't have been happier. I've never celebrated a win like that." So one hand, as we know, we had Dale Earnhardt Jr. was there, presented the trophy. And Earnhardt said, "I love the worlds of iRacing and NASCAR coming together equally to drive awareness and support for the event, but also for the sim racing community. This is a night to celebrate one particular driver, but also the 4 and all the drivers that are in the series. Even a little bit of a bigger deal for because of what the sim racing community has meant to his life. And so I know how it's positively affected my life and all of the guys that are racing in the series and the thousands of customers that are racing on the service that are creating brand new friendships every single day." So again, I just think it's anytime we get news from the sim community uh, to regular people, I think it's good. I think it's a great partnership, and I still think Junior is probably one of the best ambassadors for our sport.
Happy birthday, Dale.
That's right, turned 50.
Turned 50 today.
Dale is really morphed into something as an ex retired NASCAR driver. That those words you just read, Brad, are eloquent about iRacing and how it's affected him and all of us. One more quote I'll read from Parker. Quote, "The biggest thing for me is Dale Jr. is my all-time favorite driver. He was my idol as a kid. That moment, just hugging Dale there next to the trophy, it means quite literally everything to me. I don't know how else to explain it other than surreal."
Just fix the hat.
I got to wave at him twice last night.
Parker, as
Yeah.
he
As he blew by me and lapped me twice in the race.
Same here. Same here.
That's fun. You guys got to race him though. And then
Well, whoa, wait a second. We did not race him.
We were
He
in
lapped
the
us.
race with him.
oh, I see.
We were obstacles that he was trying to get around.
You were the lap cars, I see. So also this week, our friend DJ EJ had a video up with Parker White, and it was a nice recap of that championship race from Parker's point of view. So they go through the replay. Parker talks about his strategy throughout the race and some of the close calls he had where he almost got wrecked in a particular deal, and then that magic moment at the end where he took it 4 wide for the win, 3 wide for the championship, and was able to pull it off. And what were his thoughts and emotions in the moment? Great video by DJ EJ.
I thought was cool when he was talking about things that he had learned from practicing. So like when he on that when Zelensky went in and hammered him into the rear end, he had an option. He was laying on the brakes, but then he all of a sudden decided that he was going to gun it because he knew he was not going to make the corner anyway, so he was going to use the wall. But he had learned from practicing and some things that he had done that the wall didn't scrub that much speed off, so he was hoping that he was going to be able to just glance off of it and still make the drag race down to the start finish line, which was it's great insight on what you're thinking in the moment. Did you also hear that he said that he doesn't have a crew chief or a spotter?
That was the gotcha moment, that he basically doesn't run with one. He doesn't have a guy in his ear spotting him like everyone else in the Coke series. I thought it was a given that you had a live spotter if you're in the Coke series.
So that means too, like I was thinking about it, he makes his own adjustments. He has somebody, he did say he had somebody he runs things by, a strategy and stuff. There is someone he talks to, but he doesn't he doesn't have anyone making adjustments for him. I'm guessing he's doing it all himself.
Yeah, I think he's one of there's a group of them that are on Norse Sim Racing, I think is what it is. It's actually the setup team that works on there. 3 of the 4 were all on the same setup team. So
Okay, Brad, we got the iRacing 101 this week.
yeah, so as we've kind of put these up periodically, this one is about the iRacing paint shop. So it's just a nice quick article, kind of brings you up to speed on what you can find as you get to the paint shop on the sim, kind of walks you through, what options do you have from changing colors of the cars, to changing, your wheel colors, adding sponsors, everything that can be kind of done in the sim. Lots of us use trading paints. So it even towards the end of it, says you can upload, more detailed custom skins, gives you some more information on how to find that. I did like that he kind of went through what are the limitations, with the iRacing paint shop. And of course, as we know, certain manufacturers have certain obligations to have certain decals and whatnot on there, and then certain series as far as sponsors go. Um, so again, I think these are just kind of those people that come into the service and aren't very familiar with things. I think it's good. I still would kind of like to see as good as the paint shop is. I think it still needs to be improved some. I would like to see them, maybe incorporate some different things as opposed to just the normal slap stuff on. But it's I guess we've got trading paints for all that.
Can I tell you a funny story about my love hate with trading paints when we first got it years ago? So when I first started learning to paint, I never knew about the refresh button, so I would load in and out of the sim every single time to do a paint job. I didn't know about that because there was no one, no one tells you that. There's nothing telling you that if you're not looking for it. So I did that
Control
for a
R,
while. I
Control
know,
R.
but then it evolved to where you can just Control R, or obviously you can do your Control R and you can do the painting there. But then when they came up with this paint booth, it was a really good thing. So you don't have to go into the sim anymore, and you can just preview your car and the change you make and move it around, which was nice because it was really hard to use the camera sometimes to see some of the stuff in sim when you were painting cars.
Yeah, I mean, this was all added after during the time when I was gone. So as an avid painter, I used to have a replay file that was saved on the centrifugal circuit, and that's how you did it. And you just learned to spin around the car and you load it. So on my laptop, I would have iRacing just installed, with basically the cars and centrifugal circuit. That was it. Couldn't do anything. It was horrible, but that would be running in the background, and I've got Adobe up, and that was back and forth, back and forth. So yeah, it's much easier now. With the paint shop that's in the UI.
Hey, Greg, World of Outlaws announces new format.
So, the iRacing and the World of Outlaws will be teaming up with a new professional esports format beginning this November. The all new iRacing World of Outlaws Pro Series will mix both of the 410 sprint car and the super late model for 10 race championship that emulates some of the biggest events in the sport. So driver rosters will be set each week through qualifying races that are open to all members with a Class A dirt oval license. These races will run Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And the top 35 point scorers will be invited to the iRacing World of Outlaws Pro Series League each week for the Monday night main event.
So they basically take most of this year off as they were kind of redoing this format.
Yeah. They used to have separate championships for the sprint car versus the late model. So now it looks like they don't say specifically, but it looks like maybe 5 races in the sprint car and 5 races in the super late model. for a total of 10. That's the way I read this.
Is the dirt side not as active? I don't know. I don't do anything with dirt in iRacing, so I have no idea what that community is like.
I think it is. It's just not as big as road or oval, but I think it is. But I like the idea of anyone can get in. Look, you could run the races on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and if you have a good run, you could be invited to the race on the following Monday. You don't have to, work your way into the pro league. You just race your way in.
Another night where Mike's counting points on his races.
Well, look, they're taking the top 35 scores in points. Now that means you have to be pretty high on I rating on dirt to really be a factor, I'm sure.
So what you're saying is my rookie license won't get me in there, you think?
Hey, Brad, we have a special event added to the special event calendar.
Yeah, so this popped up this week on iRacing on their post on X. It says from December 27th through the 29th, they've added the Production Car Challenge at VIR to the special events. It's going to feature the Production Car Challenge cars at VIR Grand Course for 4 hours. Can run it solo or as a team. So, yeah, this one was kind of thrown in. Did not expect this to come. So, cars competing will be the BMW M4. GT4, you've got the Renault Clio, Toyota GR86, and then the Mazda MX-5 Cup 2016. So I think I may try to put this one on the calendar. So I like VIR, and
What are you gonna run? What car do you think you'd run?
I think run the MX-5. I like the slower cars.
We know. We know.
Stop it.
I want to try the BMW there.
I'd have to buy it.
Interested. Based on the dates, I'm actually off work for most of December. I work like only a week out of the month because I just save all my time off until the last end of the year and then use it up. But I'll probably be off work for those days, so looking for something to do, maybe I'll do it. Hey, and then Greg, next we have the 2024 iRacing Petite Le Mans.
Here's one of your favorite another one of those posters, Mike. It's a very bright poster here for Petite Le Mans. Was it presented by VCO from the 19th or 18th to the 19th of October? So that's not this weekend; it's the following weekend coming up. It's GTP LMP2 GT3 cars. I'm just pulling it up here to see the
Atlanta.
Yeah, so Road Atlanta, but a normal 4-slot times for the Friday, Saturday, and the 3 Saturdays, which is normal what we do. 10-hour race, 8-minute qualifying, 2 laps, 50 incident limit, and 20 or after, and then every 20 after our drive-throughs. So yeah, another. We've had a lot of talk about the IMSA and WEC series type car or racing this podcast. So here's another race to compete in.
14 cars to choose from here.
So when we were talking earlier, that count could be 17 to 20 by the end of next year.
You got right now. You got one confirmed for. Well, you really got two. You got Lamborghini for GTP and Aston for GTP.
I'm just thinking in iRacing too. Don't we have another IMSA car coming? Or a GT3 car coming? I thought there was one that was in the production.
No.
I could be wrong.
No, Acura's going away. Aston is the only thing we're missing currently because Acura goes away after this year. So right now, the one thing we're missing GT3 wise is the Aston.
And the Lexus.
Yeah. Well, again, I think they're running the Lexus 25. They're supposed to get a new car in 26. So, yeah. So I guess technically 2 cars.
And then, Brad, this week in iRacing, I think we covered everything, but we have a link of the events of the week.
Yep, the normal routine. So Mike's FIA 4. Americans are at Watkins Glen. Mike has had a rather eventful week there, I believe. Asia Pacific is at Okayama. Europe at Circuit Zandvoort. The Challenge Series, as we said, that's the fixed setup. That is at Okayama as well. Yeah, I don't think we covered everything else.
Podcast housekeeping, leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find the podcast. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We would appreciate it. Check out our Discord and get involved in the discussion. And our website is iRacersLounge.com, where you can see the show notes. We are in regular rotation at Performance Motorsports Network. And get your merchandise, hats, t-shirts, and so forth at iRacersLounge.shop. Fantasy, Brad.
Yep, so we rolled into Talladega this week. Some drafting racing. So coming out of Talladega, our winners were first North-South Racing with 181 points. Followed second was Chris Bates. Third was Hey Look Mighty Pen. Fourth, Stuart Haas Fanatic. I guess he's going to have to change his name after this year.
Why?
And then because they're going away.
Doesn't matter.
You got to change your name.
Can still be a fanatic.
It can't be Stuart Haas. Had to be Haas Team, right? Or Haas Factory. That's what it is. Fifth was iRace SHTY. I'm not going to say it. Rather eventful Talladega race. More about what happened not during the race as opposed to the race, I believe.
Well, I mean, the winner, I don't know if that's a surprise. I mean, Ricky Stenhouse is obviously a plate track kind of winner. I mean, that's all he's ever won on is Daytona or Talladega. And, his little team that he's in, they struggle from week to week to, do well. But boy, when it comes to these tracks, he's usually up front more often than not. So I want to say congratulations to Ricky, first of all. And then also congratulations to Denny Hamlin for his dumb luck for losing the pack and being on the backstretch when the entire field wadded him up.
Yeah, 28 cars. I guess the largest or the most cars caught up in an accident in NASCAR history.
They should have only had 10 cars that were allowed to race that race afterwards.
Well, that's the issue. So we talked, after Kansas about the whole Josh Berry incident being towed with 4 flat tires, and then lo and behold, look, guess who's coming in on a hook, getting towed back to the pit box? Chase Elliott and Chase Briscoe,
Hey,
when both cars were completely destroyed.
Chase squared. We call it Chase squared.
Well, so just look, I love NASCAR. I have been a fan forever, but we look like a bunch of idiots half the time. They just look like a bunch of idiots. Ricky Stenhouse, God bless him, but look, the car door had a hole in it. There was no foam left in it, and he should have had to come down and repair it. And when Elton Sawyer was asked about it, oh, I didn't even notice that. Come on.
How did they not?
Wait, I noticed it from here. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and I noticed the hole in the door before the race ended. I'm like, this car's got damage, and he's up front. How's this going to work out?
It's just
said that in the chat.
Yeah, it's just the only thing they're consistent at is about being completely inconsistent. So I don't know. Yeah, just frustration. And then we had the red flag that was out for 40 minutes, and then they go back under yellow, but there's cars still parked on the track that haven't been towed, but the cars that have already been towed to the pit road, they're able to work on their cars while everybody else is still sitting on the track. It's just What a mess! What an absolute mess!
Listening to Harvick this week explain it, I didn't realize that it was as elaborate as I didn't think of it as the way until he was explaining it, that as soon as they have to hook those cars up, and if they're gonna drag them to pit road the way that they're gonna be placed in order. So they have to determine the order before they tow them of what's gonna stay out there that can't keep going and what can actually keep going. NASCAR doesn't even know what the hell they're doing half the time to figure that out. So how do you, if there's 28 cars involved, how do you define of all the cars that didn't get out of the wreck and get going, who the next person is timing wise?
I don't know. I mean, I guess look, I understand that it's difficult, but you can't do one thing one week and then do the complete opposite the next week, and that's the problem. And that's what we see consistently with NASCAR is it's, oh yeah, well, we towed a car with 4 flat tires to the campground, but oh look, here's a couple cars that have no front clip anymore. Let's tow them back to the pit so that they can go ahead and start working on them. It's just, again, it was an absolute mess. And again,
Why those
fuels.
2 cars though, and not the other 23 cars?
Well, we all know the conspiracy about the one car, why it gets towed.
Well, that's a given. That's always going to happen. Look, I lived for 20 years having to deal with every Dale Jr. conspiracy, so now somebody else can deal with it with Chase Elliott. All right, so finish up fantasy playoff rankings. We got iRace Too Slow in the lead still with Matt Robb 40 in second. Smelling Ninja in third. Team Dewan fourth. Stu 24s in fifth. Overall, we've got Canadian still with the lead, followed by Dollar Cents, third, Connor Truman, Stu 24 and fourth, NASCAR Jedi 2. And a shout out to Tyler, teammate, Fat Boy, 1990 in 10th overall.
All right, and then Roval. Who do we like there? I mean, there's so many good road people. I like Shane Van Gisbergen.
Dinger.
Shocker,
So we
Mike.
went,
You've liked him all season.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm glad he's got a full cup ride next year. He's definitely going to be somebody I'm pulling for.
Is it because of his international? Like it's whether
No,
it's
because of his iRacing tie-in.
no, but I'm just saying to have a WeatherTech as come on as a sponsor into that company. They got WeatherTech hasn't sponsored much. Like they've been doing it this year, but to be a main sponsor on a car for as many races as they are, it's interesting to see that with teams complaining about getting sponsors, they were able to bring in a company like WeatherTech into NASCAR.
Well, they sponsor the WeatherTech IMSA series. Next year, they're going to be on Ginsburg and they'll be on Zillish's Xfinity cars. I think they're doing 36 races altogether between the two or something like that. So it's a tremendous amount. Look, I like to see new sponsors come in. I love that WeatherTech's an American company. So I think that's even better. I think you got to look at Dinger for this weekend. He won last year. We went to the race last year and it's okay. Look, as much as we complain about the next gen car, it's good on mile and a halves. So I'm completely disappointed that we're at the Roval again next year. So the 26 NASCAR, we need to get back on the oval if we're going to stay in this car.
All right, hardware, software. We'll start with the mailbag. We have a listener feedback from Scott Egeman. He says, quote, I just started listening to the iRacers Lounge. I love your show. I listen to you to keep up on the world of sim racing. On a couple of shows, you downplayed the Logitech G Pro wheel as something that should be avoided or a hard pass. Let me provide a situation where maybe the Logitech Pro shouldn't be overlooked. I built a GT7 only rig for use with PlayStation VR2 on PlayStation 5. At the time, the only two solutions were Fanatec and Logitech. Fanatec's future was uncertain, and you suggested staying away from Fanatec because support and software updates were unknown. That left Logitech as the only viable solution for direct drive PS5 support. For sim racers that are PS5 based, the Logitech G Pro is a pretty good wheel pedal solution, especially if you're still unsure of Fanatec. I'm not biased. This is my backup rig. My primary rig is for iRacing and uses SimiCube Pro and Heiskenville. Thanks for reading and keep up the good work, Scott Egeman.
Well, look, as I said in the voice chat, I guess I I don't think about the console market because I'm not a console guy, and I starting to think about it. I do understand that there is a very large console community. I'm sure with you know GT with Gran Turismo and then with Forza. We are we're iRacing centric. I mean, we will touch on other stuff, but we are primarily iRacing. And at the end of the day, I've owned Logitech, but uh, if that's the ecosystem and that's what you're in, I get it. But $1,000 for a Logitech direct drive wheel, there's much better options out there.
I think Scott answers, what we're thinking in his own post here when he says his primary rig on iRacing uses SimiCube Pro. Okay, so yeah, so that's what we recommend. Pick SimiCube.
But if you listen to him talking there, he's got obviously, I don't know his financial status, but he's got two rigs. I don't think he's not in the same category as people that are buying, their first wheel for something, either console based or are PC based. He's got options to move into different
Point.
rigs, but
He's a player.
but I know he also has to play around with the right equipment too, because obviously PlayStation and Xbox have, they've put things in so that you can only run certain brands of products on their consoles. So I get it, but we're an iRacers Lounge podcast. We suggest what's best for the iRacers Lounge sim. I mean, not like we're going to say anything against it, but look at how many people in the I guess back in the day, how many pro drivers in the NASCAR series run Logitech G25s and 27s still, probably before the direct drives started coming out.
Yeah, I had one. I think
Yeah,
everyone did it.
I did too.
All right, moving on. Greg, how about the Gomez GXL version 2?
So this is an Instagram post from Gomez Sim Industries. They're just introducing the GXL V2 starting at 875. I'm guessing that's $75 American. Doesn't have a currency beside it, but I guess it's American.
That's what 15,000 in Canadian.
Oh, could only hope.
They're out of Texas, so it is U.S. dollar.
So it drops in 4 days, I guess on October 14th. This first shipments will start on the 16th. So I guess is that when you can first order it, or is there pre-ordering beforehand? Is it the 14th when you can start ordering? Is that what they're saying?
I don't know, but 300 millimeters, 1.3 pounds, and it indicates 20% lighter than the version 1.
I like how simple it is. It's a very simple wheel, but I like the black, gray, or the gray carbon and the white together.
See, I like the black carbon and the red.
I think this is the wheel that Donnie, teammate Donnie got, but the V1, of course. So this is the Gomez wheel without the display. This is a good unit, but there's a bunch of them that are kind of at this genre or in this. But for the price, man, it's a little high for a wheel without a display, in my opinion. But
So that top one's like the Gray Ghost. We'll call that one the Gray Ghost V2.
The Buddy Baker version.
now the red one is pretty striking, as you said, Brad.
I like that because my whole rig is black and red.
You heard it here. He's gonna get it this one. His wife's listening, so he's already
No, I'm
purchased it.
not. No, I'm
As of
not.
the 16th, it's gonna ship for.
Absolutely not. Stop it.
Okay, now I'll get this one. How about a quieter shifter? My favorite shifter company, Logs, has a new sequential shifter that's silent or quieter. And it says, with a silent sequential shifter by Logs, you will no longer disturb your family and neighbors with loud gear shifting.
It ain't silent. It's quieter, but it's not silent.
Is this a problem that we've been? Has this been a problem for a while?
Now, I have the original Logs, and it's not a problem for me. I mean, I like the sound of it. I think that's part of the experience of it. It feels like you're shifting a gear shift when you shift it. As you can see in the video, this new unit has a completely different design to it. And so it still looks like it gives you that tactile feedback kind of feel of it feeling like a gear shift, but a different design leads to quieter noise.
It looks like the way that on some of these companies that design a clutch for their pedals, the way the clutch kind of has the mechanism, the way it moves, is that's the same way that they've kind of done this shifter.
So the only thing I don't like it being all open like that. The amount of dust and stuff that'll get in there, that's my only. I don't like that. I just don't.
Yeah, I don't like you're right, Brad. I don't like the open architecture of that mechanism. It almost looks like if you put your finger in there, you might be in trouble, right?
I don't get it though. So that one's open for the dust, but you get one like that's sealed by Fanatec that doesn't work. It gets a micro flat thing of dust in it, and it completely destroys the shifter. So either way, it's gonna have dust. But I agree. Like it's just open. You know, I guess it's kind of what a mechanism would look like anyways without a shifter boot.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you I don't know, aesthetically, if you put a case over it, it would just look much better. I get it that you can see how it works, but I mean, when I was building the rig, I looked at Huskenfeld had the shifter kind of similar to the first one, and it's just like, yeah, I want something that's closed and looks nice. It can be somewhat mechanical, but I still want it to aesthetically look nice.
What if you do like what my buddy did with his car? Instead of for his shifter boot, he got rid of the actual rubber boot and he used a Crown Royal bottle case and just put it as the shifter boot. You could cover it in that way.
Open container.
No,
Now, look,
not that container.
I think I prefer the original shifter here after looking at these and debating the open architecture. The original one, guys, out on the top, you can't really tell in the video, but it has a clear plexiglass display where you can actually see the mechanism inside of it. Anyway, I can't
I just don't
recommend the shifter enough.
I just don't understand that sound is an issue because I would think that I don't know if anyone's ever heard themselves racing outside of the rig, but the amount of noise from the wheel and moving around is a lot worse than the clicker sound from the shifter, I would think.
Well, yeah. Look, I said, when I was watching all the reviews for stuff that I was going to buy, I had the Fanatec shifter before, and I was going the Sim Magic route, and I looked at their shifter, and all the reviews were like, "It's really loud." I'm like, "All right, well, I'm not going to get that." So I was like, "Well, I'll go back and I'll get the Fanatec one." So I was sitting here one night or something, I don't know, and I think I took like one ear off, one earphone cover off or whatever, and I'm going through the gears, and I'm like, holy crap, this thing is loud. But when you got earphones on, you don't hear it. That's the problem.
Well, just be like me, run 5.1 surround sound around your rig, and then you don't hear anything anyways.
No, I like my headphones.
Hey, next up from CiviCube, we had some teaser social media posts throughout the week. What could it be? showing us images of hardware. And the comments throughout the week on some of these posts were, "Man, we hope it's a entry level direct drive base from SimiCube." Um,
It doesn't look like a direct drive base.
so that's what they ended up announcing, guys. The SimiCube Active Pedal Pro, while at the same time renaming the original Active Pedal to the Active Pedal Ultimate. So now they have the Active Pedal Ultimate, which is the original Active Pedal, and they have the Active Pedal Pro. And it was launched earlier today, I think, and we got some videos here from Dave Cam and Will Ford from Boosted Media. The biggest difference is pricing. It's a bit cheaper. It's roughly 1,800 with power supply. And the design is a slightly different materials. Overall, it's about the same footprint. It's actually a little bit longer. Um, the reviews were functionally, you can't really tell the difference. One is going to be stronger rated than the other, but they both are going to be strong enough that it probably doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, they're compatible with each other, cross compatibility and different things like that.
So I guess I'm a little confused after watching both the videos. If say I'm going this route and I'm going to buy this, both of them talked about using this pedal as either the brake, the clutch, or the gas or the throttle. So is that the way it works?
You can definitely use them as any of the three.
So who in their right mind is going to spend $6,000 for a set of pedals?
Well, Ford did. I mean, from Boosted Media, when it first came out, he was sent a
Whoa, 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 whoa!
in the video.
Sent.
Sent.
No, but then he ended up not sending it back and buying it, and he bought
Ah,
all three.
No, 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 no.
you hear,
6,000 for
you heard it
pedals.
here, folks. Brad's new pedal.
But look, the thing that throws me off on these is realistically, most people are going to just buy one of them and use it as the brake, and then they're going to get Heiskenfeld sprints or similar and use that for the clutch and the throttle.
The thing is, the clutch is basically going away in sim racing, anyways. Now, like it's rarely used in most vehicles.
It's going away in motorsports in general.
Right. So why would you spend $1,800 on your clutch when you can? Right. So like my setup, for example, I have the Simpson Pros, which are basically Heiskenfeld sprints. So I can just remove the brake pedal and replace it with this brake pedal and leave my clutch and throttle be, and it would work like a charm. Now, my problem with it is the look of it. I don't like this Frankenstein look on my pedals where I got two different looking pedals. And I have my rig against the wall. Will Ford definitely says, if you're against the wall, guess what? You're going to have to pull your stuff away from the wall because this thing sticks out so much. And that's a deal breaker for me because the way my triples are and the way it fits in here in this particular apartment, I don't have the room to really pull it off the wall another 6 inches.
I've got room. I mean, mine goes into the corner, so I have plenty of room. But yeah, I'm like you, Mike. I'd like things to be. It's a set, you know. When I look at my pedals, I see my Huskenfeld Ultimates, and I'm like, yeah, they all look the same. They match. That again, that's important to me.
What they need to do in this lineup is create a simpler clutch that has
And
the
throttle.
same and throttle that's at a more reasonable price that looks the part But isn't
I already have that. They have a pedal that's like $300 or $400 for the throttle and the clutch.
does it look exactly like this?
It looks similar. Yeah, it's got the same
Okay.
colors. And
I'm
so, yeah, so that would be one way of doing it.
you asked the question, who buys this? Somebody does, because obviously they're in business, and I actually a video I was watching today, the person that was teaching me something on it was using the same all three pedals. At least, so, actually, sorry, maybe you only had two, but it might have been all three.
When
Oh,
money's not an object.
You get
right. For me, it's a pass because of the Frankenstein look, for one. Two, it's still a lot of money for pedals. I mean, if I already spent 400 on my pedals, so if I add this another 1,800, I'm at $2,200 on pedals. Now, is that a good setup? I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of money when you can spend however much with, Lawrence at Sim Coaches out of Las Vegas and get this very premium looking metal, shiny metal pedals. I mean, Greg, tell me how your pedals look.
they are absolutely gorgeous because of them being what do you call it, machined, cut. Everything's machine
Yeah,
cut,
CNC.
CNC machined. They are probably the prettiest thing on my rig, to be honest. Now they're also the most expensive thing on my rig, but the I don't know. It's just for me as a set. Like when I was buying something, I've never considered this because I want something that because I what I would be afraid of is not being able to get them mounted properly all together too when you split them up, because at least when you have a set like I do, even though I have two on the top, one on the bottom that nobody that likes my inverted setup, but the you could at least they work together. You know that they're going to work and mount in the right place.
Yeah. I think it's a mental hurdle for me that I'm using this brand pedal in the middle with this software, and then my other outside pedals are completely different brand, completely different materials, completely different everything, and it uses its own different software too. So, like you said, it's no longer really a set if you take this approach. But is that just a mental hurdle? I mean, should we be treating all, three pedals independently? I don't know.
Well, yeah, for me it'd be a mental hurdle. So, Mike, we did skip over one. We had a post from Instagram from Cube Controls with some sort of picture that I have absolutely no idea what this is.
Oh, something they're probably releasing at the Sim Expo, I would guess. A teaser, perhaps. But yeah, it's hard to tell what this may be.
I mean, comments are, it's a motor mount for a Cube Controls direct drive. Easy, it's pedals. I really don't know what it is.
Final thought on I want to go back to the SimiCube Active Pedal Pro real quick. There was some good commentary on our Discord about these. I asked our listeners, and I'm going to read one quote here from one of them. Chad McNeese, he said this: quick comparison sets the new Pro about $500 US dollars cheaper than the Ultimate, the new name for the original pedal. Certainly better pricing, and there's very little loss in terms of actual performance versus the original. But at 1,800 US dollars for one pedal, including the hub link, I can't see it in my future. That is enough to get a decent PC upgrade or move to an aluminum rig or from my botched desk-based setup. It's good to see progress and prices come down, but SimiCube remains a top-tier product with the associated prices. I think the pending price on the Moza Booster is the real one that has potential to become a further reaching item. I'd expect them to undercut this by a good amount, maybe 1,000 to 1,200, and be the more likely choice for those of us with more modest budgets.
Well, I think Will Ford touched on that too. That's what he's kind of waiting to see where the Mose is going to come in at as well.
And me too. I bought the Simpson Pro pedals kind of waiting for later where I may do an active break and then Moza came out with their announcement. So I'm also keen to see what Moza comes out with and maybe I'll go that direction. But for now, I'm probably not going to be getting the SemiCube active pedal. I just can't justify the cost. One other listener also mentioned just add haptics to your pedals and you got a cheap alternative.
Not exactly the same thing, but I agree. I think the haptics is the way to go. I think that's we've talked before. It's my next thing is going to be haptics on the rig, and then probably haptics on the pedals as well. Um, there's a difference. Again, the active pedal it's force feedback for your brake. It's the same thing that's why we have direct drive wheels, because we want the fidelity and we want the response that you get from a direct drive wheel. With basically with the pedal, it's basically a direct drive pedal. I mean, that's the way you need to look at it.
See, I put my subwoofer on the top of my foot pedal tray. That has added so much more feel too to what I'm doing. So when I lock up or something like that, I can actually feel it through the sub.
They're nice. I got a very large sub, and it provides some some feeling as well as sound. Moving on, Greg, we have the Sim Max by MPI.
So this is MPI's Instagram page 2 announcing that they're RS Hub compatible. This was a GT3 330. It's not anyways, it's um, they're they're advertising the center hub part, right, Mike?
Oh, they're advertising the rims that they're
Oh,
selling to go with Logitech's button box.
oh, okay. So that's why. Okay, so they're it's their things that are going with the Logitech's hub. Then okay, that's so they got there's a GT 330, GT 310, and what is that MP2 15s? I guess that's the diameters of all their rims that are available for it.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last week. So they basically come out with the base, and now they've got the rims that'll go along with it. So again, that good option if you're in the Logitech ecosystem. I'm an MPI fan. I've got an oval rim right here, so part of the Simex family is what I bought to use. So not disparaging that at all. Just not a Logitech guy.
Brad, we got a really slick looking AliExpress button box.
Yeah, I came across this morning. I was scrolling through Facebook, and one of the many sim Facebook groups or whatever I'm on, this guy's got a video of this button box, and I was like, "Well, this is really good looking." So threw it in the script. So this is from AliExpress. Um, every time I go to the link, it changes prices. So I can't tell you exactly what the price is. This morning it was $67. I took the snapshot; it was 70 some dollars. Now it's $85, but that's AliExpress. But it's a rather good looking button box. Can change the colors on these. For even for $85, it's not bad. I mean, it looks pretty good. It's plastic, but if you're looking for a somewhat inexpensive button box, I think this thing looks great.
That price, this is very functional. It's got a good look to it, with the different style buttons and the start button and all that. It's made by PXN. We've talked about them before. They have a wheelbase and stuff, uh, entry level kind of thing. But yeah, this would be like an entry level button box.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the what do they call it? There's like a little joystick. I can't think of what it's called. There's an actual name for it where you can kind of go everywhere with it.
Uh, yeah, I forget the name too.
Funky switch. That's what it is.
Funky,
Funky
that's it.
Switch. Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned a few weeks ago. So for my track racer TR160, you get the dust slots, and you don't get enough of them. So to buy them from Track Racer, they're stupid expensive. So I bought a bunch from AliExpress, and I've had fun, dressing the rig up with that. So I get an email every day from AliExpress with something else they want me to buy. Um, it comes from China. It takes about a month to get it, so don't expect to get something within a week. It's not Amazon, but it's a lot of knockoff stuff. But I enjoy looking at what they have to offer because it just makes me think about different stuff.
All right, next up we have perhaps the next generation of direct drive bases from Thrustmaster. They put up a Instagram post saying, "Here is the next generation of DD bases. It's called direct axial drive." And they put up a very clever picture of an owner's manual. And now, first of all, in the comments, they got lit up that they need to fire their social media guy or their marketing guy because we've seen Thrustmaster's marketing before when they teased their direct drive wheel for almost 2 years before they actually released it. And so, anyway, they're getting trolled again because the guy that does their marketing is kind of like that. But we have another post from GT Planet talking a little bit more about this direct axial drive. The reveal coming October 11th.
So I read the article, and I think I saw something somewhere else. I just can't remember where it was, but it's it's a different way of doing from direct drive. I mean, most of everything you got now are servos. We talked last week about the VRS is actually a MIG motor, but I guess this is a different way to do the magnets. But some of the concerns are heat. Using this axial drive thing, heat seems to be the issue. So I don't know. Not a big Thrustmaster fan. Again, it's just an ecosystem that once you get stuck in it, you're somewhat stuck strictly in that ecosystem, and you don't have any options. That's my issue with some of those.
Well, essentially, it comes down to the orientation of the components of the motor. Every DD wheel around uses a radial flux design, with the shaft acting like a rotor of the motor and turning inside an array of powerful magnets surrounding it, which acts as a stator. So the axial flux design works differently by placing two sets of magnets on the shaft around a stator so that the magnetic flux is parallel to the shaft and all but eliminating cog. Okay, Greg, she finally tried VR.
So this is YouTube person Sarah. Was it Nochi? I guess that's her last name. Nushi. Tried the Primax Crystal. Is it Crystal Light? I didn't get a chance to watch this whole video. Mike, did you know what she was thinking on about it?
Yeah, so great video where, she obviously comes from triples, but she got an opportunity to try the VR. She really liked the immersion of it and whatnot. At the end of the day, though, if she's racing competitively, she's going to go with her triples.
It's the comfort issue, and again, I think that's the one thing that keeps me away from VR. She says that immersiveness is fantastic, and I agree. I think it would be fantastic to be able to look around and see where you're going. She said, once you get things set up, it's good, but at the end of the day, I can't see myself wearing that for two. I mean, I'm thinking about imagine doing a triple stint, 3 hours with that on. I don't know how David does it. I just don't think I could do it.
The that one's got to be one of the biggest ones too, right? Like that's the biggest goggles that you can get out there right now too. The way it's designed.
They're big, yeah.
I mean, you did VR, didn't you, Greg?
Yeah, I did. Um, I had oh, what's I can't remember. I can't.
Quest, right?
Yeah, it was the Rift S or whatever, F2, whatever under your eyes. It's very. David could speak on this better, but for his for it. But I found once I went to triples, I was enjoying it more. I do like the way that VR looks and how it feels, but triples was just it felt more natural when you're looking at it because especially I feel like at 32 the 32-inch triples that I have they feel right in the magnification wise of the way you're supposed to be in a car.
Yep, I'd agree. I mean, I've got 27s. At some point, I think I'd like to go to 32s at some point down the road. Um, but yeah, it's the comfort thing for me. I don't know if I could do it.
Okay, moving on, we got the VPG Sim VPGT wheel. That's a mouthful. But we have a new formula wheel here from VPG. No display, typical formula wheel. Um, Sim Racing Den does a nice review on this. Their thing is it's super lightweight, which really translates into better force feedback for you to enjoy with a lightweight wheel. A heavy wheel can really diminish that. Um, he liked it. I think the price was a bit high though.
Yeah, the price is a bit high. I do like the wheel. It's very similar to what you would get in a GT3, so very similar to what the Corvette wheel looks like, or the Porsche wheel. And yeah, the weight of it. I mean, again, it's it doesn't matter how strong your DD drive is. If it's having to turn a very heavy wheel, it's going to delay. There's going to be some latency, let's say, in the wheelbase, in the steering wheel. But the lighter your wheel is, the better. But yeah, the cost point is it's a bit too high.
And also, would it if you have a heavier wheel too, it would obviously put more strain on your whole system in general. It would cause more wear, more fatigue to it.
I think that the key reason it's lighter is it's fully carbon fiber. I believe is what he said.
Yeah, that's not cheap.
We sit here complaining about pedals and stuff like that and what they cost, but we're trying to save weight on sim racing gear to get what it doesn't actually does. I don't know if it does it actually equate to tenths of a second like it does in real life when you take weight out of a car.
Well, it's the okay. So I'm going to play devil's advocate here. All the feedback for the most part we have is in our wheel. We don't have the seat of the pants that you get in a car. So it's very important that feedback you get from the steering wheel is really all you've got. If you don't have motion and stuff like that, that's all you've got to feel what the car is doing.
It's a good point.
I got this one. I found this video. Asalith GT Phenom is the name of their wheel, and this company Asalith sent this YouTuber this wheel for free, and he's basically doing a review of it. It's a typical Formula wheel with a display. Looks very much like all the other ones we've seen before, but the price is right. Now I'm having trouble finding the exact price on the video, but by memory, I think it was 550 euros for a Formula wheel with a display.
Is it just me or is it like it is? It's a gorgeous rim, like the way it's laid out and everything. Um, it's funny how you can see the times of change when they're making these wheels too, because it even has it looks like a wiper knob there that you can increase. Like they have it dialed in as a wiper knob in general, but I just think it's really nice looking with the display and for that price, Mike, like I'm screwed when I get into the direct drive market. That's the one thing I haven't upgraded is the wheel, and I'm really screwed when I get there because there's too much out there for me to look at.
So I'm on the website, and this company's out of Italy, and like almost every wheel's out of stock. So there's no price listed.
So at that price for that wheel, that's a heck of a deal. So if you're in the market, you should definitely check them out. Acelith. Brad, we have one more quick one.
Yeah, so we got a just an Instagram post from 3D Wrap. They are offering Sim Racing Pro gloves now. So these are going to be a shorter glove, not a long glove. So it's going to be right at your wrist. Says it has the experience unique touch and feel of 3D Wrap Sim Racing Grip Pro gloves. As you grip steering wheel, every turn, acceleration, brake will convey incredible sensations. So looking at them, I guess they're more of a rubber based. Not a fan of that, to be honest with you. I want something that's going to be either a leather based or just fabric based. I really don't want a gripper thing on my wheel. That's just me. But but don't look bad.
€30. And they say they're going to be at the Sim Racing Expo. All right, let's move on to results. NASCAR iRacing Series. Friday open at Talladega. I got a P10. I ran near the front most of the night. On the last run, we could just barely make it on fuel if we saved. I saved like crazy the entire stint and made it to the end with only .1 left of fuel. Kyle Pendergraft, P5. Kept it clean for the most part and only ran the bottom until 3 laps to go, and the lanes all went to the top. And I was able to get a draft with some cars and brought it home P5. Tony Rochette ran out of gas on a green-white checker 3 out of 3. John Curley wrecked out on the final green-white checker after starting in the top 5 on the restart. And I think all of us were watching John from above on that, rooting him on. He almost was in a position to win it there. Brad, P9.
Yep, was in the same race with you, Mike. So finished P9 after starting P9. You know, like you said, we ran up towards the front most of the night. We just got on the wrong fuel strategy. We saved enough, but gave up too much track position. So I told you, I went back and looked at the replay, and we had a we had a restart with, I don't remember how many laps it was to go, but the group that ended up winning, they pitted about 3 or 4 laps after we took the green, which gave them enough fuel to be able to run full steam. So what they lost pitting, they gained all back while we were out there running those 50-second laps, 51 seconds and stuff like that, while we were all trying to save fuel, they were able to run full throttle, stay as a group of 4 cars, and then they got back by us. So again, we just the wrong strategy. I didn't expect anybody to do that, but that's something we need to put in the back of our heads and try to remember next year when we get to that an issue like that where we're just a little bit short. I think that's the way to go.
I was leading that stint. I was the leader, and I was saving fuel as the leader. I was running 80% throttle as the leader of the line, and it was pulling it off. Nobody was going by me because, like you said, everybody was saving fuel, and it ended up being the wrong choice. Right, Sunday Open, P1, winner, chicken dinner. My first win of the year. Finally, I get that monkey off my back. Look, I usually win in this series 3 to 5 times a year. And I haven't won, and it's October. I've been worried. I've actually been worried. Like, am I actually going to get one this year? But look, as you guys know, Talladega is my bread and butter. If there is a place I'm going to win, it's going to be here. It was a great race. I stayed up front. Most of the race, I was in command. I was leading the race near the end when there was a bunch of late cautions. I had great help from a guy named Aaron Maturin, I think is how you say it. He stayed with me the whole time. He pushed me right up to the checker. He actually got dumped from the guy behind him as we came through the tries. Help, um, I was able to win it. I lost the help from the outside was coming, but I did beat them to the line just by a hair. My 102nd career win. Uh, so happy to finally close the deal this year. Chris Waldron, P6. Stayed back the whole race, missed the late wrecks, got a green white checker, got out of the outside, and gained 10 spots to finish P16. Justin Pearson wrecked out. Greg, P8.
Yeah, that was Mike. You came into it after you won your race. You came to watch Tom and I in our 3 green white checkers, and I had to pit after the second green white checker because I didn't have enough fuel. So I left Tom out by himself there. I think Tom started third, and yeah, I think I restarted 18th. It was just a crap show in the last lap, and I finished P8. If I would have got, if it would, the caution came out as we were getting the white flag, so we didn't have that final lap. But if we would have gotten that final lap, I probably could have gotten like a couple more positions. I might have actually got up to Tom's bumper and would have been able to help him.
And then Tom finished P4. All right, moving on to Sunday night fixed Talladega. I got wrecked out on the second green white checker. I actually led a lot of laps on the final run and had to save fuel. I was 90% throttle as the leader for the whole run, and we had a late caution. I decided to pit for fuel for the green white checkers since I didn't have enough for that, and I couldn't make my way back up through there and got myself wrecked. I should have stayed out. Man, that one really burned me because the guys that stayed out, like that were around me, they ended up winning the race. I mean, I totally gave it up by pitting for fuel. But I think I was gun shy after the race me and Brad had where we got burned. And so that was why I did that, and it burned me again. Justin Pearson, P5. Nice run. Chris Waldron, a P25. Missed a big wreck while I was trying to run up front. Had to pull down to the pits to miss it. Black Flag City. Passing under yellow, entering closed pit. Served a 26-second penalty and went 2 laps down. Got one back, but fell short of the second, P25. And then we had Kyle Pendergraft, P9. Started P13 and got collected up in a big one. Had over 9 minutes of damage to fix. Decided to fix it a little by little until near the end I was able to fix it all and was able to keep decent speed. After 2 green-white checkers, I was sitting P19. And then Mr. Pearson jumps in and became my spotter and, man, painted a beautiful picture of what was going on in front of me and what lane to use. I went to the high lane, 3, sometimes 4 wide, and avoided wrecks that were happening in front of me. And thanks to Justin's guidance, as it all was happening, he directed me to a P9 finish. That's amazing. So he had 9 minutes damage. He got it fixed and still got a top 10.
I don't know if that. I guess it just tells you the kind of race it was.
I was gonna say this is what made me mad about what happened at the Roval even more now too, when you can have speed still after 9 minutes of damage.
Let's talk Wednesday Open, Charlotte Roval. For me, there was a big pileup in turn 2 at the beginning of the race, and I had to literally stop. The track was blocked. After they cleared, I ended up being dead last, and after that, worked my way up to around 15th, around halfway, before I wrecked out around halfway. I ended up hitting the wall, having about 6 minutes damage. It wasn't even drivable after the repairs. Brad, P24.
Yeah, so a weird race. So P24 after starting P24, as Greg and I were talking, top split. You got Parker White, Garrett Baines. I mean, it's crazy. So
And they weren't even on the pole. There was a guy that was even faster than that.
I know. I mean, so look, I would end up saying, you know what, if I can survive and get a top 20, I'll be happy. That's really about the best I could hope for. Ran clean, you know, and he got myself up to P18. Of course, I'd already gone 2 laps down, but that's okay. With about 4 laps to go, I'm coming out of the infield section, and you got the right hander uphill before you got the left hander going down as you come down to head back to NASCAR 1. And as soon as I made that left hand turn, something broke on the right front of the car because the car just hooked to the right, smashed the wall, standing on the brake. It's not stopping. And I go into turn 1 and just destroy the car. So, really no idea what happened. I had all I had was a 1X up until that point. I had, I guess, been a little too aggressive over one of the curbs in the front stretch chicane. I really don't know how. Just really frustrating to run all that time, have about 4 laps to go, and then just I really don't know what happened. I mean, just like I said, I wish I'd saved the replay. I went back and looked at it, and it was like right as I came over the hill, the right front of the car went down. So the only thing I can think was weird was when I pitted, all it took was fuel. But as I'm coming out of the pits, my spotter says your front tires are very hot. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird because the wear was really fine. But I never heard any other warnings about tires from that point on. So just a really frustrating night.
Well, and if you probably weren't running the brake bias forward, you were probably more back anyway. So there's no way you'd have heat in those front tires.
It's just I don't know, just really really weird.
Flat tire or suspension damage?
The whole right front of the car was gone. I mean, quarter panel, everything was just completely ripped off. It was bizarre. So, like I said, I don't know what happened. Look, I was it was a roadblock for Parker White, and what we say earlier, we didn't race them. We were in the race. Is that right?
Like I said, if I could have put my hand out the window to wave them by, it would have been twice.
Yep.
Kyle Pettygraph P16 got involved in 3 incidents on lap 1 and 2 and got in a big one due to a stop car going to NASCAR turn 1 and got a meatball on lap 5. Fixed 6 minutes damage and just drove around until the end, bringing home a P16 after having to do a drive-through. Greg P22.
Yeah, I was when Brad told me that we were in top split. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry. When Brad told me when I was loading and he loaded in first, and he told me we were top split, and then started naming off the names before I got in there, I was like, God dang! But I'm like, all right, well, let's see what we can do. I think I qualified 16th or 17th, I can't remember, and then was running up around that position for most of the race. I had hit the wall and damaged my left side, and so any of the right hand sweep, going left was tough for me because there's nothing holding the car. It was very very hard. And then I don't know, Brad, was it two or three laps to go? I touched the wall in the same section that you had yours go down.
Yeah, you went out right after me.
The back corner touched the wall, and it collapsed my suspension completely into the car, where it looks like it went into the drive axle, and I had no forward momentum. I could keep going once I kept going, but if I had stopped, it wouldn't go anywhere. So I guess that's I'm out of the race. I should be in the camp zone. I guess I should have parked it in the camping area then. But yeah, I got P22 with the DNF. I guess there was a lot of people exiting that race. Like the amount of people disconnecting was crazy in that race too.
That was the frustrating part. I was like, if I could just finish this, I'm going to get a halfway decent finish. It's, at a road course, I was going to be like, this is going to be great. Well, that didn't happen.
Chris Waldron P21. I hate the Roval with a passion. I crashed out. Glad to be put out of my misery. All right. I ran Thursday Open Roval. Choked in qualifying, a car number 34 in top split. Started dead last. Somebody spun in front of me on the pace lap, and I actually hit the wall under pacing as we got started. I worked my way up to around 27th from 34th with some really great moves, actually. And then I ended up spinning on my own and fell back again. Later on, after I've settled in, I'm just clicking off laps. The leader in the one car come, comes up behind me to lap me going into the final chicane. As we exit the chicane, he decides to drive through me and dumped me hard into the outside wall, completely destroying the car, DNF. This is actually my sixth DNF in a row since Sunday morning.
Yeah, that was you put the video up in the chat, and that was just uncalled for.
Especially the the number one guy in the top split, who's a high I rating driver. He knows better. Okay, he knows he should have waited to drive, to go around me. Yeah, I was really frustrated. Anyway, let's talk about my other four DNFs. FIAF4, Regional Americas at Brazil. And so we'll pick up with my third attempt at Brazil. I worked my way up to P5, and then I spun on my own, falling back to 10th. And then I got racing a guy side by side. We went on the grass and came back up and took me out. I fell back. I was able to finish P10. Fourth attempt, started fifth, worked my way up to second, was pressuring the leader, which caused him to spin in turn one. I couldn't avoid it and literally drove over the top of him. With the damage, I didn't pit, but I was fifth and worked my way up to finish P3, 94 points. My second attempt was 95. Oh well. Now here it is, Watkins Glen, first attempt for the week. It was the boot. Started 12th, stayed safe until we got to the bus stop. We were still double wide, filing through the bus stop, and the guy behind me sailed in there and ran over the top of me. I had to tow, back out from 20th and work my way to back up to finish P16. Tuesday night, made my third and fourth attempt and unbelievably wrecked out in both races on lap one. Third attempt, I went down to turn one. They were sitting sideways, blocking the track. Fourth attempt, I made it clear to the bus stop before I got ran over from behind again. Kyle Pittygraph, he's been running this with me. He got P3 at the Glen. Ran a solid race, just hit my marks. Car was glued to the track, and it was fast, but not fast enough. Then Kyle ran another. He got P18. Ran a good race and got into a two-lap battle with P5, and on the last lap, he took me out, entering the bus stop, and ended my race. Protest was filed. And then other hosted I ran, Gen 5 at Talladega. I started in the back. I finished P4. And then Gen 4 at Michigan. Started in the back, finished P7. Right. And then with that, let's go to final thoughts. Greg Hectus.
One thing that we didn't cover there in the results, David and I ran, the Global Endurance Series, 6 hours at Spa in the Corvette GTP. Finished 7th after starting 8th. I had my system freeze up near the end. David did the first 3 hours-ish of the race, and I was fighting for about 5th, 6th battle there. I know David had some troubles at the beginning, but then I was fighting for 5th or 6th, and I couldn't I was going around one of the corners, and all of a sudden people were disconnecting and doing a bunch of stuff which goes on in those endurance races when they switch drivers and stuff, and I don't know if iRacing got confused or whatever, but it locked my system up and ended up, when I came back, the car was wrecked, so I don't know if my screen froze and then it wrecked it or whatever, but David and I ended up finishing 8th because of that, and so good job to us. I think the next one's Silverstone that we're doing, but yeah, I'm enjoying the endurance race. It's just, two drivers, 3 hour stints are tough sometimes to just keep focused, especially usually when I do it, it's after a shift of work, or David's doing it after a shift of work or two sometimes or whatever. But yeah, just looking forward to testing a little bit more for Charlotte Roval tomorrow after work and running tomorrow night.
Hey, great. Brad Wren, final thought.
So kind of happy that NIS is about over. So got 4 weeks left. 36 weeks is a long grind. It really is. So just kind of looking forward to being able to take a little break from that and I don't know, focus on some other stuff. I guess I don't know what I'm going to do, but just really wanted to try to get into the top 10 points wise. That's not going to happen. So I can go ahead and set the objective for next year. But yeah, just kind of glad for NIS to be over.
Okay, look who jumped in. David Hall, your final thoughts.
Hi. Yeah, I was in a
Okay.
cast meeting. So a lot of my Thursdays are probably going to get taken up for a while. They needed me for a play. They were really short on a lot of guys. So I'm going to be swinging in and doing, but I'll be around. I'll still be editing and be on when I don't have to be at blocking or whatever. I didn't catch the show. I'll be listening to it tomorrow after I do the quick edit.
Right. And so my final thought, man, what a relief to get that win at Talladega. Oh my God. And I called my shot. I don't know if I said that. I called my shot. I told everyone, dude, I'm going to win this.
You got a confirmation bias there. I got to go ahead and interrupt you because you call your shot almost every time, and you just kind of forget the ones that you miss.
Yeah, that's right. That's true, though. But look, monkey off the back. I mean, I was wondering, like, am I getting old? Am I, have I lost my touch? Is it all this new equipment I have, or is it the TikTok streaming messing me up? What is it? But man, it was so fun to win and have an audience watching. I got some great clips from the win where I'm pumping my fist and doing donuts and stuff, and man, it was just a great feeling. But the highs and the lows of racing are extreme. I go from that high to I can't get past lap 1 at FIA F4 in Watkins Glen. Like I literally can't get to lap 2 in 4 different starts. And so it's okay. I'm just gonna swallow that and just be happy with my win from Sunday and we'll let the chips fall where they may as far as F4. As far as TikTok goes, man, loving it. I got my first paycheck from TikTok, like $12. I'm actually getting paid to race, people. Can you believe it? And I have about 2,000 followers, but that's going up exponentially at this point. So yeah, come join the fun on the TikTok, and hey, we'll see you on the track later.
Three.
Okay, David, do I need to send you the link, or can you grab it?
Nope, you need to send me the link.
Right. So title ideas.
3.
Yeah, probably 3.
All right, 3 it is.
I feel like that was the most
So what is 3? I didn't even look.
Hall of Fame text.
All right, I sent you the link.
All right,
Right,
good show, guys. Yep. I'll get the edit done here in a few minutes.
All right, I have to get some food. Thanks.
Night, guys.
Later, boys.
That was a hard day's work.
Good job, David. You were excellent today.
Absolutely.
You were
Rocked
on
it, man.
fire.
I am the closer, man.
Thank you, Kevin. Good night, guys.
Except being single, I wear the pantsuit in my or the fire suit.
The fire suit. That's right. The fire suit.
Blah, blah, blah.